So I did a survey, just put it out on various social media channels and just said to women, can you answer the survey? And so
I always say, I never will accept my diagnosis, but I've learnt to live with it.
So I think you have to find something that gives you the confidence that you're doing well. And at the end of the day, it's how you feel inside. And if you're feeling good, I think that should be the measure of being successful in what you're doing.
I kind of hid my diagnosis for 2 years because I was kind of felt aware of the stigma around a brain condition and people thinking that maybe I'd be less capable as a dietitian and that clients might be sort of put off by it, and I just thought, I have to basically dispel that myth and engage them and realise that they have to get involved with people with Parkinson's. It's really important to have diet intervention. Like from all the research I've done, I think Parkinson's is probably one of the diseases that really needs intervention from day one. So I think that was another big thing for me in Kyoto, the Congress. There was actually a dearth of information about nutrition and diet and the impact. There's a lot about exercise and other modalities, but not about nutrition and dietetics. So basically I made it my goal to raise the awareness around nutrition and diet for people with Parkinson's. So I did a survey, just put it out on various social media channels and just said to women, can you answer the survey? And so it basically showed that out of, there's 209 women who filled it out, and 147 of them were still menstruating, and 86% of them said their symptoms were worse than before their period. And from that then I ran 2 webinars, one with the Cure Parkinson's Trust and one with the PMD Alliance, with kind of experts in the area and women who young onset women, to kind of discuss it and really highlighted that there was a real lack in terms of, the survey showed that 90% of the women said that neurologists don't talk about hormones, whether it's around menstrual cycle or whether it's around perimenopause or postmenopause. It's just not discussed, even though women are experiencing problems. I got diagnosed as saying whilst I was pregnant, and in terms of like for 3 years she was up for hours at a time at night, and I was just floored. So even without Parkinson's you're really tired with the baby, or so it's pretty tough. And I think the research shows that often none of that is taken into account for women with Parkinson's, that the fact that they just take their Parkinson's on top of everything else, just another thing to do. By getting rid of the stereotypes and just focusing on the men, that we actually end up having potentially much more therapies that will slow progression, and you never know, even a cure for some types of Parkinson's. And I think that's why research needs to be personalised, because it's not like women against men. It's actually saying, well, we should be treated according to our individual gender and sex needs, whether you're a man or a woman.
I think it would help lots of people in whatever they're doing.
Yeah. It's not just...
I don't think it's about Parkinson's. I think it's about just the human being in your life.
What I like with this is you sort of separated it into the different parts as well. It's not one thing like I will get, sort of help myself through like exercise or like meditation, Reiki, that kind of thing. It's all these composite parts.
And I've just realised, that it's not just one thing. It's a combination of things. There isn't one answer to this. If it's spiritual and if it makes you feel like good about things. Yeah, no, I'm listening to, I don't know how to pronounce his name, Thich Nhat Hanh?
Yeah, the Vietnamese Buddhist.
Yeah, I like how he talks about the breath.
Yeah.
Because if we can't, if we don't know how to breathe properly, then, it doesn't matter what you were diagnosed with, it's going to be a problem. So, yeah, I'm into breathing at the moment.
Okay. How long have you been sort of into that? Is that something?
That has been the last month or 2. I don't want to feel guilty about it, that if I've missed a session or done something like that. So I need to find a way to exercise and to be kind to myself, that if I haven't, I don't have to feel guilty, because guilt doesn't help anybody in any which way. And I think that's the problem. When you're told something and then you believe it and then you don't do it, you're just going to feel guilty.
And it's much more sort of tailoring things to your own needs and to your own life.
But that's hard then, because then you've got to have the confidence that what you're doing is good enough. So I think you have to find something that gives you the confidence that you're doing well. And at the end of the day, it's how you feel inside. And if you're feeling good, I think that should be the measure of being successful in what you're doing.
Yeah, not something you instantly came to once you were diagnosed.
I do believe that there are different paths that we can take, and one might be the way we think we want to go, but we don't always know what's best for us.
I was 43 when I was diagnosed, sort of nearly 12 years ago now, and I found it very hard to come to terms with, and I sort of stood up and said, you know, how I found it hard and my story, basically, my Parkinson's journey. And a lot of people came to me afterwards and just said they thought I was inspirational, and just how they could relate to what I'd said, you know, so that made me feel good. It was just absolutely total devastation, you know, and I just never thought I'd come to terms with it, and it did take me 3 years before I could even you know, get my head out of the sand, basically. And I went to a sort of like a first steps sort of for newly diagnosed people, but I couldn't go when I was diagnosed. I went 3 years later, and that was the right time for me. And you know, that was proved the other week when people, you know, I stood up and said my story and somebody else said theirs, and it was 2 people a year apart that were diagnosed, you know, took the same diagnosis but dealt with it in 2 separate ways, you know, and a lot of people sort of, as I say, came forward and said, oh, I thought it was just me feeling like that, and you know, and it was good to hear that you were able to sort of give support. And you know, I always say, you know, I never will accept my diagnosis, but I've learned to live with it. My successes are obviously my boys, you know. It makes me I get very emotional. This is what Parkinson's does to you. My boys say, oh goodness, we'll go around and see mother cry again, you know. I cry at anything really, but you know, I've got obviously my 2 boys. I've got one that's married, living in America, and you know, which although it's a long way away, I'm pleased that you know, people say you brought him up well to sort of go off and you know, explore. And then he met his wife, lovely Emma, and then my other son is in the police force, you know, so with his lovely partner Molly. So you know, I've got 2 lovely boys, and they're, you know, my great achievement really in life, I suppose. You know, slightly hard. It was hard when I was diagnosed because they were 12 and 15, and difficult sort of age, you know, but I was lucky that you know, I had the younger years with them sort of before I was, you know, able to do a little bit less really, but yeah, so that's my only one thing in life now. My life will be complete is when one of them makes me a grandma, so that's the next thing, so no pressure. I've got two grand kitties in America, but you know, we're waiting for one of them to produce a grandchild, and then that'll be it, job done. So
is that part of the reason to go to America, just the fun?
Well, I'm hopeful. Two of their friends are pregnant at the moment, so you know, don't want to put any pressure on anybody, but yeah, that will be my life. You know, job done then, so.